Hi there! Welcome to Debra Quilts Lots and Knits Bits. I'm Debra McCracken and I quilt a lot and I knit a little bit. Today is Sunday, December the 8th, and coming to you from beautiful Penticton, BC, Canada. And we have sunshine today. We had a little bit of rain yesterday. We did have a little bit of snow this week, but it didn't last for the whole day, so that's okay. We're all right with that. And, you know, some days it's a little overcast and cloudy, but I'm good. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's not that cold, and it's just fine, considering my relatives and family in Calgary have been getting like tons of snow and minus 15 and minus 20, and they're never very happy when I talk to them about the weather. So anyway, I have a few little knitting things to show you this week and a few little quilting things. And so if you're joining me for the first time, I just talk a little bit about knitting, a little bit about quilting, and if you're returning, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this. I spent a little bit of time last Saturday finishing a couple things, believe it or not. Knitting things. I didn't finish any quilting things, but anyway, so I will show you first. This is my Extapa sweater. So it's got this little lace detail up the edges, along the bottom, around the edge of the sleeves, and on the neckline. I need to block it again to get this neckline to lay flat, and my seaming kind of looks like it's pulling, so I'm hoping that a good block will get that to lay flat. I checked with my local knitting guru Elsa, and she said that that should do the trick. So I'm hoping that that will be the case, because I plan to wear that for my Christmas potlucks on Wednesday, because there's two of them. Anyway, that is made out of the Luette Euroflax wet spun linen in the natural color. I got that from Kathy at So Much More in New Denver, BC. She was kind enough to bring that to me when we met up at the West Kootenay Quilt Conference in April. And I've been working on it since then, and I keep talking about it. I kept showing the front and the back, and finally I put the front and the back together and knit the neckline last Saturday, and it didn't take long at all. I don't know what I was waiting for. So the other thing I finished up last Saturday, just buried some ends, and then I had to open the neckline a little bit because I had it was pretty small. It was like just barely going over my head. So this is called the Over Easy sweater. It's a pattern by Espace Tricot in Montreal, and it called for bulky yarn and size 19 millimeter knitting needles, circular needles. And I don't know if you could recall, but I had started the same exact sweater in gray out of I can't remember what the yarn was, but I just wasn't happy with it. It was just too loose, and I thought, well, maybe I'm using the wrong weight of yarn. So when I was in Castlegar in October, I went to Unwind, more than a yarn store, and I picked up this Drops Andes mix, and it is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. So it was pretty nice. It's pretty soft and drapey, and instead of casting on 110 inches or 110 stitches like the pattern called for, I did 70, and I think it's going to be just fine. It's going to fit just fine. It's supposed to be a cropped piece that you put over top of a t-shirt or a tank top or a button-down shirt, so hopefully that works out just great. And I used 3 balls of the Drops Andes for the sweater, and I had 4. So out of the 4th one, I made these, they're called the Cloud Slipper, and I used, I think it's 8mm needle. Anyway, the fabric wasn't as dense as I wanted it to be. I made the largest size, and I used 2 sizes smaller, I believe, as far as the needle went from what the pattern suggested. And these took about an hour each to knit up. So on Saturday, I knit one and finished the other one. And then I wanted them to be a little denser, so I felted them a little bit. So that's the first time I've ever done that. I went onto YouTube. I found a hand felting video and followed her instructions. And then I think I just still need to give these maybe a little bit of a press with my iron pressing cloth, just to get this little bump where they join to flatten out. But yeah, when I felted them, I rolled up some quilt batting and stuck it in to get the shape. So hopefully Granny will love those and keep her feet nice and warm. And that's why I had to podcast today, because I am hoping to get everything kind of wrapped up and sent off to Calgary for Christmas this week. And I will put in a picture of the of these Grinch slippers modeled on my feet. These ones would not fit my feet. These are for my son-in-law. I sent my daughters already, and my last podcast I couldn't show them because they were a surprise for her birthday. But I don't think Andrew's going to be at all surprised. But look how big those are. Anyway, they come up to a little pointy toe, and then this little pom-pom goes on them. So they are very fun to knit. I'm on my 3rd pair because my husband has determined that he'd like some too. So, but when they're so big, they take a long time. So this is the Garibaldi sock yarn from K-Zip Knits. And that's from Kelsey, who is originally from the Okanagan and lives in Vancouver now. And I saw the yarn on the Wet Coast Wools podcast, which I see lots of stuff on there that I'd love to make. And it's called Glow Stick. And I saw it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's going to be perfect for the Grinch slippers. So in June, I went to the Yarn Okanagan vendor market, met up with Kelsey, and she had the glow stick with her. So I picked up a couple balls, a couple skeins, and I sent her a picture of the original Grinch slippers that I made, Grinch socks, whatever. And she was excited too. So I'm glad that the perfect yarn showed up for the perfect project. And since my daughter and her husband have decorated their whole house for Grinchmas, I felt that they were appropriate. So if you recall, last time I showed my placemat method, and what I did is I just used, it's called featherweight, but it's like a heavier featherweight interfacing, fusible interfacing on the placemat, and I sewed everything together envelope style, and then I trimmed down the seams to 1/8 of an inch, and that worked like a hot darn to turn everything. So I also had, there was, Poppins has some Grinch panels that have 6 things on them, and they say Grinch lives here and Merry Grinchmas and that kind of stuff. So I did those all individually. They're about 12-inch square, and I sent them to my daughter for her birthday with some painted clothespins. They're painted Grinch green, and a ribbon. So she hung it up on her fireplace, and she clothespinned the little individual mats as a decoration, as a bunting, or I had the word a minute ago. Anyway, she loves them. She can turn them around, she can take them off and place them on the table, put them on the front door, whatever she likes. So that is pretty much it for knitting. Like I say, I'm working on one more pair of Grinch socks, and then I hope to knit some fancy socks out of my sock book that I got last year for Christmas called The Joy of Socks, S-O-X. And yeah, so I don't know if you can see my little tree behind me here. I'm going to send that to my mom for her door. She lives in a seniors condo complex, apartment style, and she has a quilt for every month of the year. So I thought, well, maybe change it up for Christmas. She can have something a little bit special. Hopefully she'll open it before Christmas, and then her building mates will enjoy it. She says whenever she hangs up a new quilt, she hears all kinds of scratching on the door because they're always looking at it and turning it over and looking at the quilting and stuff. So it's kind of fun. But this pattern was called the Feathered Christmas by Cherry Blossoms. So it's fun. It's just a little bit of applique, fusible applique. And I actually cut it out on my scan and cut machine and never ever put it together because I didn't have the right background. And then my friend Mary was over, and I said, this is the right background for these pieces. You should take this and do it. And she said, I should just leave the background and you can do it. So I did it, and I might have showed this in the spring because I did get it done way long ago. Anyway, so I added a bunch of Swarovski crystals because according to my friend Linda Cassidy, you must have Swarovski crystals because they're the best. And they are much shinier than the less expensive versions that I have tried. And they're heat set crystals, so you can do them with the iron. You put them down and set a pressing cloth over top and iron them, heat the glue up and iron it down. Because somebody said the other day, if you don't use a pressing cloth, they go in the little holes in your iron, and then they're kind of a bear to get out of there. But I have the crystal wand applicator. It looks like a wood burning tool, and it's got different tips on it for different sizes of crystals, and that seems to work really well. So I just glued it all down, and then I put it on the machine and I quilted it to death with Monopoly. It's Superior's monofilament polyester thread, so they call it Monopoly. So I did go around the edge of each applique piece, around the edges of the star, and then quilted the background. I think I have wool batting in there, and that gives it this nice dimension. So that will go to Granny for Christmas too, and hopefully she loves it. And as far as other quilting projects, I do have something that I brought home last week, and I've got to go grab it, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I was working at Poppins this week, and when I got there on Monday, this panel called Fairy Fantasy was there, and the artwork was just gorgeous, and the colors were beautiful, and I happened to get a new great niece last weekend too, so I thought, well, that's appropriate. So I put some borders on just to make it a little bit wider, and this is called Backsplash, and it's a gradient fabric, so that's all one piece of fabric, and so I thought the colors were absolutely perfect for this panel. So, and then one little separation, so I had a little piece of one of the companion fabrics that looks like the sky here. So I just folded it, and I cut it an inch wide because the rest of it I'm using for my binding. And I folded it in half and stuck it in the seam there. So it's kind of a faux piping. So it'll stay three-dimensional because I'll quilt the borders and then I'll quilt inside. And I'm probably just going to quilt it all over, quilt it to death, and I'll use probably a blue thread, like a lighter blue thread glide cloud maybe. See how that works out. I'm sure it'll be great, just perfect. And then this is the companion to it, and that's going to go on the back. It's so pretty. So pretty. So that's for Annie. And then I thought, oh gee, I need something for George for Christmas. And his sisters are getting the animal panels that I quilted up this summer. So I was at Poppins last week working, and I picked up this panel with little beavers and fox, and it says adventure and let's get outdoors, take a hike, and it's flannel, and it's going to be so cozy. So I got one of the companion flannels to go with it. It's got owls on it, and they're very cute. Again, more flannel. So I'll put some borders up the edge, and use this for the back. And so that's my quick and simple little quilts for, they've got to get done this week. Along with, I think I have 2 more quilts coming tomorrow that need to be done for Christmas, and I have one that I've had here for a week or so left to do, and so I'm hoping to get that done in the next couple days. And yeah, and then I've got a ton of stuff to do after Christmas, or after what needs to be done for Christmas gets done. I'm hoping to get it done before Christmas or through Christmas, because we're going to stay home this year. The kids have just got lots going on in Calgary and the roads, and it's so much to think about. Anyway, we were going to go the week before Christmas, and then some stuff came up, and we're just going to stay home. Make it simple. We've got lots of friends here. We usually have a group we get together with for breakfast on Christmas Day, and then dinner, and other friends have another Christmas party like on the day after Boxing Day, and that's always a lot of fun. So I mean, we won't be lonely, and we won't be bored. So that is how things are going to go for us this year. Now I will talk about this quilt behind me. Every year, Bonnie Hunter from quiltville.com does a mystery quilt at US Thanksgiving. It starts, and she does that because there's lots of people that just don't have lots going on at that time, and maybe need a distraction, or maybe people have extra time during between the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year kind of in time period. Anyway, every Friday she puts out a new clue, so you can keep up, or you can just do everything at the end, or whatever. And this was the mystery quilt from 2 years ago, from 2017. It was called On Ringo Lake. Now you can still buy the pattern for it, but if you do the mystery as you're going, as it's running every year at this time of year, it's free. And so this On Ringo Lake came completely out of my scrap bin. I had quite a few pinks and purples that year from little girl quilts and wedding quilts, and it called for some blues, and there were blues in there from other quilts from the year before. And the only thing I went into my stash to cut was the setting triangles for the border. which was, sorry about what's this one? And the binding. So I felt pretty happy to get a quilt out of my stash and out of my scrap bin, and it's really quite big, so the corner's folded over there because I ran out of design wall to pin it up on. I have had this on my bed. I haven't actually hand sewn the binding down yet. It's just glued right now, so ha ha ha. Not even a finished object on the wall. So anyway, the new one is running now. It's called Frolic, and so it's only got 2 clues out so far. So if you go to quiltville.com, and I'll put a link in the description below, go to quiltville.com and you click on the link Frolic, and you can get the all the instructions there. And I did start a new mystery quilt that the Penticton Day Guild is running, and so I don't have the pieces to show you anyway. It's not all that exciting. Well, it is exciting, but it's not all that much to look at the moment. It's a Diane Jansen mystery quilt, and from Diversity Quilts in Pritchard, BC, and you always learn a lot. So just a little bit of a sidebar on that. I did one of her mystery quilts probably 15 years ago when I was in Castlegar, and it started out with like 64 Drunkard's Path blocks that were 3.5 or 4 inches or something like that. And I had never done those before, other than 1 or 2 in a beginner class. And by the time I got done with them, I was doing pretty good. Now this time I sat down to do my Drunkard's Path blocks, and she did give us 2 different ways to do them. One was an applique, where you applique a circle onto a square and then cut it into 4. But the other, I thought, no, you know what, I can do this. So the first couple, I followed the directions and I pinned, and yeah, I took them out and I did them again. They do take a little bit of practice, but then I remembered my quick curve ruler instructions to, you take the pieces and you hold them apart from each other and you pull a little bit and you push a little bit, and I did the majority of them that way, and they all just slick as anything. So I'm hoping to do a quick curve ruler class in the spring. So it's a really quite a fun method to do. And with the quick curve ruler, you kind of overcut everything. Everything's bigger, and then when you get to the end, you trim it down, and you can find the exact perfect parts of the curve for your piece, and it all works out really well. It's the quick curve ruler patterns. I can't even remember the company name other than Quick Curve. If you Google Quick Curve Ruler, they're all very, very well written and very easy to follow. I've even tested a pattern for them, and that was fun. That was really fun. So I think that is all I have to talk about. I haven't really been listening to any books of consequence or that were memorable lately. I've just been plunking along. I've got quite a few, I've got Margaret Atwood's new book, The Testaments, on hold at the library, and I think I'm like number 318 on 24 copies or something silly like that. So, you know, when it says, oh, it could be up to 18 months before I actually get it on the loan. So that is what I'm kind of waiting for, and who knows, I might actually go and buy a book or borrow one from the library to take on vacation with us, and we'll see. I don't know. I don't usually sit down very long to read because there's always things to do, and I like to keep my hands busy. So it. I hope that you all have a happy holiday, get everything that you want to get done, and don't stress about the things that you don't get done. Often, nobody even knows that you were trying to get them done. So just relax, enjoy your time with family and friends, and just take it easy. It's supposed to be fun. Anyway, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy quilting, happy making, happy Christmas. Hope you get all your baking done and don't eat too much. I haven't done any baking so that I don't eat any of it. I am supposed to take dessert to my potluck on Wednesday evening, and I'm hoping that maybe I just have the willpower to take some fruit salad. Not that that's coughing out, but that is what I should be eating if I'm going. So I will talk to you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.